God. Hello, hello, hello. What ho? Welcome back to another exciting adventure of the UberCaste. I'm your host, Travis Finley. I am using my iPhone now, and I've got my mic set up. So if I could just get maybe a sound check from you, if everything sounds okay on my end. My one solitary Smurf out there who has not hit the Fonzarelli yet. What the Smurf is wrong with you? All right. I am waiting for my, can I get a mic check from the two of you Smurfs out there that haven't hit the Fonzarelli yet? Can you guys give me a mic check, please? Can you hear anything? Hello. For the love of God, hello. For the love of all that is Smurfy. All right, I just need a mic check, please. Can you guys hear the sultry sound of my voice? How does the audio sound, please? Is there any audio? I doubt it. Hello, check, check, check. I can hear something, but oh my God. Hello, hello, hello. I have people popping in and out, but I don't have any audio feedback. Can you guys just give me feedback on the audio? And please hit that Fonzarelli. I've had 4 people in here already, and there's 0 likes. So let's get it up. Hello. Just need an audio check, please. We got 3 people watching. Can I get an audio check, please? Is there any Smurf out there? Hello, for the love of all that is Smurfy. Got 3 people watching and 0 likes. Let's hit those Fonzie Smurfs. All right, so there's 3 Smurfs watching right now, and you guys have been here for a hot minute, and I don't have any audio check. Can you just give me an audio check? Can you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth? And yes, I know my glasses are crooked. I broke them last night, so they're all smurfed up. I got 4 people watching. I just need an audio check. And I need 4 Fonzarellis. Come on now. You Smurfs aren't new to this game. Let's go. Can you hear my voice? Can you hear my voice? Unbelievable. Are you guys trolls or something? Like, why are you not responding to me? I don't get it. I don't understand you people sometimes. I have to like my own show. All right, so I just did my own sound check, thanks. And I gave my own show a thumbs up. Thanks. Got two of you knuckleheads out there and no thumbs up. What the smurf is wrong with this world? If you come on to a content creating channel that you're watching, the first thing you should do is hit that like button. Good morning, my queen, Nicole.
Good morning. My time is 11:73.
All right, I am your driver. My name is Travis, but I'm not just a driver. I'm also a podcaster. So we are live on my podcast. It's called the UberCaste. Everything I say or do is intended to provoke stimulating, uplifting, beautiful conversations, and everything you say or do is being recorded for entertainment purposes. Shall we continue? Sure, absolutely. On your way to work today?
Yeah.
Sadly, I was just going to say, is that a good thing or a bad thing? And you already answered that, sadly. Why is it so sad, Nicole?
Early.
Oh, it's early. Yeah, I feel that way. I'm still trying to wake up.
Yeah. Do you always do your podcast while you're driving?
I do, because these conversations that come up naturally and just sporadically very often are very, very interesting. And I always think that they are worth listening to because of the subject matter that we talk about. We talk about social reform, talk about government, talk about dreams, talk about philosophy. So in 4 minutes, we have 4 minutes to change the world, Nicole. What thing in the world can we talk about in 4 minutes that will change the world? What do you think? How can we talk about something that will change the world in 4 minutes?
I don't know.
Me?
Yeah.
I would say that we need to understand who we are and why we're here. And I think our dreams are an aspect of who we are and why we're here, but we're not told how to understand our dreams. So we can start there. Why do you think we dream?
Like, have something to on or dream at night?
Dream at night when you're sleeping.
I guess so we're always awake.
Well, okay, so that's interesting because you're not awake, you're asleep. But then again, why? So your body continues to function in so many ways that you don't have control over, right? Your circulatory system, your nervous system, your digestion, everything, right? You aren't in control of that, but your body just keeps those things going. And your mind is an aspect of that. And while you're awake, you have thoughts, right? So do you think those thoughts are in your head or in your body? Or where are those thoughts? Where do they exist?
I think in your head.
Okay. So then when you go to sleep, are your sleeping thoughts in your head? Right? It's an interesting question. Do you game at all?
Like me?
Do you game?
Yeah. Like play.
Right. But you understand, like, have you ever been in a chat room?
Sure.
Okay, right? So if you're in a chat room with 50 other people, and you're in your living room or you're on your phone wherever you are, like you're there physically wherever you are, but you're also in a chat room. Like, where is that chat room? Right? So that's what happens when we dream, in my opinion. When we dream, we go into a dream room. Like we log into a simulation, right? Where other people are. Right? Because let's pretend that this was a dream. Everything looks real, right? Whenever you've been in a dream, were you aware that you were dreaming, or did you just think you were actually awake and at work or at school or at the beach? You don't know that you're dreaming, but when you're in the dream, it looks real. So how do you know when you're dreaming and when you're not dreaming if they both look the same? Right? So I think that the model of gaming where you log into a cloud, you log into a place or a room where other people are as well, but they're not really there, but they are there, but they're not really, and that's their avatar, right? Just like when you go into a game and you have a mission, your life is a mission. Your life has a mission, right? In your waking life and your dreaming life. And I think your dreaming life is an aspect where you get to practice your waking life in a world that you can control. But we don't know how to control our dreams. I wasn't taught how to control my dreams. I wasn't taught how to be aware that I was dreaming and then take control of the dream and go wherever I want, talk to whoever I want. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the extent of that conversation. But maybe I got you thinking about something, and maybe the next time we see each other, you might have some deeper insights for me. So,
True.
in the meantime, my Queen Nicole, I hope you have a blue sky day.
I hope you have a good day as well.
Thanks. I got 2 people watching and only 1 like. There should be 3 likes at least. Just going to keep hounding you guys. All right, now I got to open up the other app. Where is it? Turn this around. All right, give me just a second. I got to see if I can get this going real quick. Hold on. Are you kidding me? The writer canceled? Whatever. My God. God, dude.
Thank you, sir. I'm John.
Good morning, King John.
Good morning. Oh, could you move that chair up? Thank you.
Don't use that. Don't use that. It's broken. I've been trying to glue it and it just won't stay. I apologize.
Okay. Alrighty. Oh, now it's stuck there.
Well, hold on.
There we go. Nope. Okay.
Whew.
Harvard Community College. Library.
Sounds good. Just to let you know, my name is Travis. I am your driver, but I'm also a podcaster. And so right now we are podcasting live to my podcast. It's called the UberCaste.
Oh, okay.
Everything I say or do is intended to provoke stimulating, uplifting conversation so that everything that we do or say right now is being recorded for entertainment purposes. Shall we continue?
I guess so. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Fantastic. So we have 17 minutes together, John. What can we talk about in 17 minutes that is going to revolutionize the world?
Well, the weather. It's not going to revolutionize the world.
Well, we can talk about the weather, I suppose.
Sure. Well, it's not too good here in Aberdeen at the moment. So
I guess it depends on, what your view of rain is. I mean,
Well,
obviously.
Friday was brutal. I sat at that station for almost 5 hours on Friday waiting for the Amtrak.
Really, was that weather related?
Well, they claimed it was because of the tracks that had been washed out south of D.C.
Huh. Tracks were washed out south of D.C. Interesting. Okay.
Well,
So
you never know if it's true.
Of course. So we're heading to the library. Are you a student or are you faculty?
Yeah, I'm an administrator. I'm the vice president of finance and administration.
Oh, okay. All right. How long have you been doing that?
Oh, 6 months.
So then, is this your field, though? You've been doing this for years. It's just a new.
I work for a consulting firm, and we place people at colleges when they have a vacancy. And this college had a vacancy. Their former vice president of finance and admin resigned in December, I guess. And they're looking. They'll eventually get a full-time replacement, probably in the fall.
Okay. So what were you doing before this?
I've done this for about the last 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
And prior to that, I was in the investment business.
Investments. Okay. And would that be Wall Street, or would that be index funds, or?
It was quasi Wall Street. It was venture capital and private equity.
Venture capital and private equity. Okay, so I don't know anything about stocks or anything like that. So what's venture capital?
Well, venture capital is basically funding early stage small companies privately, not publicly. With the hope that they will get larger and you'll be able to realize the profit on your money.
So at what point? What's the dividing line between private and public once they decide to go from one to the other?
Well, they have they do. They have an initial public offering, which is regulated by the SEC, and it's basically an offering of their stock to the public on certain terms. And once you've fulfilled the offering, and your stock trades publicly, you have a lot of obligations and also regulations that have to be followed for the safety of the investment.
Okay.
Not everybody wants to run with those types of regulations and obligations.
All right. And are you from the D.C. area?
No, I'm from New York City.
Oh, okay. So you came down from New York City right now?
Yeah, I'm just on the Amtrak right
Oh,
now.
okay.
What about you? Where are you from?
I'm from originally I'm from California, but I've been living in Harford County for the past 20 years.
Like it?
I think the one criticism I have is just real humidity.
Oh, really?
Yeah, every now and again.
What brought you out here?
I decided to go to college in Chicago and get my bachelor's in biblical studies. And then I met my ex-wife there. We got married, and then I went to grad school. And then after graduating, I found a church just outside of Baltimore in a place called Parkville.
Okay.
So it's Baltimore County. And was there for a little bit. And then, so I moved to Baltimore area back in 2000. So I've been here for the past 23 years.
You still doing the ministry thing?
No. I basically studied myself out of a job, out of a degree, so to speak. I've completely changed my understanding of what the Bible is and what it means for us today, and that just is not compatible with the traditional Christian expressions. But if anybody said, hey, Travis, we've got an opening for a lecture, an hour or so, would you mind giving a lecture on the Bible? I'd absolutely jump at that, because I do enjoy discussing the nature of the Bible as literature. So I do find that it is still a worthwhile discussion, because I think it's a work of art to a certain extent, no less than Da Vinci.
Did you work with a particular denomination? You were doing that?
The Presbyterian Church in America.
Oh, okay. That's a serious church, yeah.
Well, it depends on if you're thinking about the USA Church, which is the liberal expression, and the PCA is the conservative. So, but the Presbyterian Church is, one of the more prolific denominations
Yeah, no, I had
in
a friend
America.
who left was a priest in the Catholic Church, and he left to become a Presbyterian priest in Scotland.
Okay.
And apparently they're, very traditional.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's interesting. Usually, to go to your flip, usually I hear of people leaving the Presbyterian Church to go Roman Catholic.
Yeah, I know. It's it's a mixed bag, I guess. The advantage of both is that they can be married. So if you're a Presbyterian priest and you're married, you can come into the Catholic Church with your wife.
Yeah.
And if you're a Catholic priest and you want to become married, you can go to the Presbyterian Church and marry up there. That's one of the advantages.
Where do you fall on the spectrum of spiritual?
I'm still a Roman Catholic, fairly traditional.
Okay.
Studied, for many years in Latin theology.
Uh-huh.
Still keep up.
So what's your perspective on spirituality in terms of who we are as human beings, as spiritual beings? What do you think the purpose of our being spiritual is?
It's basically, I think, to have a better relationship with God, with Jesus, and to speak to Him on your own terms.
Uh-huh.
I do follow the spiritual exercises of St. Ignatius.
All right. Well, can you elaborate on that? Because I'm not Roman Catholic and I wouldn't know how to understand exactly what you're saying. So.
Well, you have to read it, but I mean, it's a exercises, meaning it's a series of readings and contemplation that you take over a period of time, over a week or over 30 days, and you read them. And it's very much, actually remarkably similar to AA. It's basically you build yourself up, tear yourself down, review your life, and then rebuild yourself through building blocks, what's good, what's bad, and what God's given you, and what you think that you should be doing with this gift.
Yeah, it is interesting to see the similarities between AA and maybe other spiritual disciplines. I think that I went to an AA meeting as an observer. I have a friend who does Uber in California, and he and I talk a lot, and he's in AA. He's got his chip, and he's been sober, I think, for 7 or 9 years, one of those, somewhere around there. And so we talk about these kinds of expressions. And one day when we were talking, he said, I think you might really appreciate if you went to an AA meeting. He said, just find some local expression that is open and not a closed meeting, and just go and sit. And I found myself really impressed with how similar it was, not in the testimony time, right? So like certain churches, they will often have opportunities. They'll say, who wants to stand up and share what God's been doing in your life or whatever. And
the Quakers.
Well, yeah, but even the Baptist church that I grew up in as a child, people would stand up where they were in the pew and say what God was doing, or voice a concern that they wanted everybody to pray for them about, and things like that. And I saw this similarity in the AA meetings where people were talking about how AA changed their life.
Sure.
Right? And so they're giving a testimony as to their development and success in terms of changing aspect of their life that they want to change. And I found myself reverting back to those old days, wanting to say amen, right?
Right.
Because that was I don't know if Roman Catholics do that too much. I don't think you guys do. But if someone were to stand up and give a testimony in church and say that God had done this, a lot of people would want to affirm that, and they say amen. If you understand what I mean by that, right? But that didn't happen in the AA meeting. Everybody was just silent. But I was just like, man, we should be cheering this person on, because it was really motivating, because that person was excited about their development. But the other thing that I found myself wrestling with was part of my transition out of my religious expression was
that I came to realize for me that
So your directed readings that the man or the woman you talk to is your advisor. They suggest specific readings, either from the Bible or outside of the Bible, usually from the Bible, that you may find interesting and helpful.
right.
And the rest of the time you can spend just in silence. I mean, silence is a wonderful thing.
Absolutely. So here's just the transition into that. I think that one of the greatest things that we can do to change the world is to begin training our children at a young age about the importance of self-awareness, self-discipline, and being quiet in meditation. I think that those spiritual expressions should be trained in a child at a very young age. And I think that I saw this one YouTube channel. It's a husband and wife yoga instructors. And they showed this one video of them doing their yoga and their warm-ups and their meditations in the morning. And they were letting their baby just crawl around and be a part of it, right? That's what I mean. Like, that's instructing the child about what the parents do spiritually. And then the child, every once in a while, if the parents were doing a downward dog or whatever, a pose that was easy for the child to do, the child would just imitate what the parents were doing.
Sure.
So that's what I mean in terms of showing the child, this is what we do as your parents. This is what we want you eventually to understand that would be beneficial for you to do as a human being. You know what I mean? And I think that a lot of probably the conflict that we have with, or that children have at a young age, would be better navigated by a child who is self-aware at the age that they're at. You know what I mean? They can only be only so much aware if they're 6 years old or 8 years old or whatever. But it's always developmental. It's always at a grade, hopefully higher and higher and higher.
So what do you think about exposure to social media? These children are exposed to it at a very early age.
Yeah, I think, yes, exactly. I think that those things, in my opinion, although I am using social media for the avenue of doing podcasts, I do think that regulating that exposure, so if the parents are on social media and they spend 5 hours a day on social media, but they tell their child, oh, you can only have 1 hour. I mean, that's a little bit, maybe
right.
not consistent. Like, maybe the parents should only have 1 hour and the child should only have 1 hour. But I think it's along the same vein. The parents show the child how to have a healthy balance between virtual social engagements and then the rest of the world. So if you could show your child how to have a balanced,
I think unfortunately most adults these days don't have that.
I agree. And so I would say that for myself, being a kid of the 70s and right on that cusp of the computer age and gaming systems and things like that, I had, I think, a healthy balance where I was an avid reader as a child, as a young middle schooler and high schooler, and I still read, but I probably read more, if not at least a balanced view. Like, I would watch movies too, so it's not just video games, but my mom put a limit on how long I could play video games, and that's the way it was, and TV, and that's the way that was. But I was still reading or drawing or having some sort. So again, I think it's all just a matter of balance, equilibrium.
I would agree with you that it's a matter of balance, but I think that society is seriously out of balance.
Yeah.
You go to social media.
And again, I do agree with that sentiment, which goes back into the development of the industrial age and commercialism and capitalism as we know it today, where we manipulate a person's apparent sense of need, you know, apparent sense of need, right? I don't think I need this thing, or I don't even know I need this thing, and then I see a commercial that says, "Oh, you need this thing." That's commercialism, right? Right. So then, if you think about the Amish and how they've distanced themselves from the Industrial Revolution to a certain extent, the microwave, I think, is a debilitating factor in family life, because it takes away from the orchestration of creativity in the kitchen, where the mom teaches the daughter how to roll out dough or how to measure, you know, because you're going to have math. You got 2 cups, 2/3 cup, you got 1 tablespoon, blah, blah, blah. Like you're teaching the child measurements and ratios and all of those things, which are good. But if you microwave your food, that's completely gone, right?
Right.
And not only that, but you have that family dynamic of, you know, little Johnny coming in and he's a little bit young. He's like, "Mommy, I want to do what you're doing." And you create that social, that family structure that shows what life, I think, is a healthy expression of.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that there are inventions that do have negative consequences. You know, what's the law of unintended consequences? You know. So. And is this where I turn, or is it the next one? Okay. I always get confused.
And we're back to the weather. I have to get out of this car and hopefully not get drenched. It's not raining too hard, though.
No.
Well, Travis, it was fun talking to you.
My King John, I appreciate your time, and I hope you have
good luck with your podcast.
Thank you, sir. I hope you have a blue sky day.
Well, thank you. Same to you. Enjoy Harford County.
Thanks.
Gotta grab these bags.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay. Okay. Thanks again. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you for that like. I appreciate it. We got 3 Smurfs watching. Make sure you start a conversation in the chat. Say hi to each other. Just remember the comment section is for love. It's not for hate. Haters can go Smurf off. A little bit slow again this morning, so I'm driving down. So. All right, got a nice fair going down south of Baltimore. that apparently just disappeared. Wow. So now that ride is rider canceled. They didn't want to wait that long for me to get there, so it might come back up again because sometimes that happens. They put their ride request back in, and I'm still the closest one for them. So we'll see what happens. I'll be right back. All right, so in the meantime right now, what I'm going to do is read from a book while I'm waiting for a ride. All right, so my glasses broke, so I'm going to be looking kind of funny because I don't have an arm on my glasses, but this is a book called I can't read backwards. Inner Work, Using Dreams and Imagination for Personal Growth by Robert Johnson. So I thought that I would just use some of this time to read new ideas, right? Waking up to the unconscious. One morning, a woman got into her car as usual and drove several miles to her office. Along the way, her imagination began to produce a great adventure. She saw herself in olden times, a simple woman living in the midst of wars and crusades. She became a heroine, saved her people by strength and sacrifice, encountered a strong and noble prince who loved her. With her conscious mind thus totally occupied, she drove along several streets, stopped at traffic lights, signaled properly at every turn, and arrived safely at her office parking lot. Coming to her senses, she realized she couldn't remember any of the drive to her office. She recalled not a single intersection or turn. Her startled mind asked, how could I drive this far without being aware of it? Where was my mind? Who was driving while I was dreaming? But things like that had happened before, so she dropped the subject and went into the office. At her desk, she began to plan her day's work, but she was interrupted by a colleague who came out storming into her office, threw down what is this? How much is this? All right, I'll take it just to see what happens.
And did I get it? Nope. Weird. All right. Colleague came in, threw down a memorandum that she had circulated, and went into a rage over some minor point he disagreed with. She was astonished. His anger was so disproportionate to the size of the issue. What had come over him? He, in turn, hearing his own raised voice, realized he was making a mountain out of a molehill. Embarrassed, he mumbled an apology and backed out. In his own office, he asked himself, what came over me? Where did that rage come from? I don't usually get rattled over little things. I just wasn't myself. He sensed that there was a boiling anger within him that had nothing to do with his friend's memorandum, but had suddenly come to the surface over this petty matter. Where the anger came from, he didn't know. If these two people had had time to think about it, they might realize that they had already felt the presence of the unconscious in their lives that morning. In dozens of ways, the ebb and flow of ordinary daily life we experience are opportunities for the unconscious to act in us and through us. Sometimes it works alongside the conscious mind and takes over the controls of the automobile while the conscious mind is focused on something else. We've all had the experience of driving a few blocks on automatic pilot, as the woman in our example did. The conscious mind is somewhere else, briefly, and the unconscious mind simply takes over whatever we're doing. It stops at the red lights, starts at the green lights, keeps us within the law until the conscious mind comes back to the here and now. This isn't the safest way to drive, but the unconscious does provide us with an excellent, crucial, built-in backup system that we all take for granted. And so we are simply simulations of a CPU, like a computer, right? So the computer has a hard drive that runs the applications, keeps those applications running. And that's what our unconscious mind is doing. Our unconscious mind, or our unconscious physiology, keeps the functions of our body moving the way that they are supposed to. All right, so I got a ride and going to go pick up Shezrod. Start the music over again. Hey, what's going on, Critical and Mark? Mark, you still there? Did you watch the entire movie yet, or just the clip I sent you?
What are you reading, Robert? Hail, my king. I am Travis, your driver. Is it Shirzad? Hail, my king. My name is Travis. I am your driver, but I'm also a podcaster. And so right now we are podcasting live to my YouTube channel. It's called the UberCaste. Everything I say or do is intended to provoke stimulating, uplifting, beautiful conversation so that everything that we say or do is being recorded for entertainment purposes. Shall we continue? Absolutely. So we have 45 minutes together. What can we talk about that is going to revolutionize and change the world?
Change the world, man. I don't think I'm that smart.
I know you are. I know you are. But see, we can just pick one small, tiny thing. We don't have to like solve thousands of problems. We can just talk about one, or whatever strikes your fancy.
I let you choose.
All right. Okay. Here's my question for us to think about. What is the purpose of our dreams? When we dream, when we're sleeping and we have dreams, why do we dream?
Oh. Well, the reason I know, or I think I know, is because we think about some certain stuff, and even when we go to sleep, when we dream, we try to pretend to solve those problems or issues we have in life. And believe it or not, sometimes you actually end up solving them in your dream.
and then you wake up. If you still remember what you did or what you know in your dream, it can actually, in a way, help you solve it.
I think that's probably the best answer that I could have hoped for, and you said it better than I've been trying to say it for the past few days as I've talked about this with my writers. I will say that what you said is what I've been trying to say, but that was absolutely fantastic. So here's another question. If our dreams are our opportunities to learn a lesson in the dream that we're supposed to take back out into our waking life, why is it that we're not taught that that's what dreams are for? Because I was never taught in school about how to understand what dreams are or what they're for, or even how to become aware of the dream and therefore bring that information back with me. So, curious question for me is, I think that your description is absolutely spot on. I thought it was great. So my question for you is, how do you put that into practice, or do you?
So that's the dream. If you can't remember the dream,
Right.
say you forget about what you dreamt, then it's not going to help you.
Right. So how would you problem solve that? Right. So right now you're building a block. You're building this concept. The dreams are for me to improve in life. I don't remember my dreams. What's the next step?
You don't remember what you dreamt.
Right. If you don't remember what you dreamt, but you know that your dreams are supposed to be for your benefit, what's the next step in solving that problem that you don't remember your dreams?
If I don't remember my dream, then it's okay. I let it be.
Okay.
There's a thing, right? If it was supposed to help me, I would somehow remember it. If I somehow forget it, then it's for the good. You know, whatever happens,
okay,
it's for the better. Just go with it. You know?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. It's almost like if you're having a conversation like we are, and you think of something to say, and you're waiting for the opportunity, and then it comes up, and then you forgot what you were going to say. You're thinking, oh, well, you know, I can't remember it. I'm not going to worry about it. It might come back up later on.
Yeah. Exactly. See, there's the thing. Let's say you lose something, and then you're crazy about finding it. There's a high chance that you're not going to find it. You just got to let it go, sit back, and think. Give it some time, and it will show up your way.
Yeah.
It's like Murphy's Law. The harder you try, the further it goes away.
Yeah, a watched pot never boils.
Yeah.
The harder you try to find something, you're most likely not going to find it. Yeah, I think that you're really describing a balance of our emotional state, right? If I'm worried about the thing that I can't find, then that's creating anxiety that's going back to me as well. And so then, if I'm worried about this thing that I can't find, and that elevates my anxiety, then when I drive to work, I might be impatient with the other drivers on the road, or when I get to work, I might be impatient with my coworkers, and that all stems back from being anxious about not finding my portfolio or whatever it was I was supposed to have. Well, what do you think about this? What if we could train ourselves to remember our dreams, so that it's almost like training a muscle or muscle memory, learning how to teach yourself how to solve, but so that, okay, I could take it for granted that, oh, well, I don't remember my dream. However, what if the universe is saying, but you're supposed to remember your dream? You can remember your dream, you need your waking life possibility.
For that, I think you need to like plan initially before you go to sleep.
Right.
And write down whatever you want to do.
Right.
And be really into it. Like think about it a lot. Like think about the ways to solve it. At least 2-3 ways. And then think about it carefully and then really right. And the more you think about it, like I said before, the more chance that you're gonna be dreaming about it. And then even though you wake up not remembering the dream, you still have your notes. And when you have your notes, you might remember what you dreamt, and then it might help you. Oh,
right.
I dreamt about this. I've been in this place. What are the chances I'm gonna be ending up in that place in life, in real life?
Right.
I used to dream a lot about me walking in the Times Square.
Okay.
Before even coming to the United States. That's because I used to watch a lot of movies that are filmed in New York City, and how crazy, how exciting it is.
Right.
I used to be excited for days. And then one day I was lucky that I dreamt myself walking. And then, believe it or not, after some time I was walking in those streets. Like, how crazy that is.
So so I think that we're talking about this really interesting dynamic between the physical and the metaphysical, right? Because the physical is, okay, I'm gonna get better at my golf swing. So I practice my golf swing physically. But then when I'm sitting at the kitchen table and I'm not on the practice greens or whatever, I'm thinking about my golf swing. That's metaphysical, right? So I can, and I'm sure you've probably seen these studies where they had a group of basketball students practice in their minds, practice making a three, practice, and they had another group of students doing the physical, and they found out that they were in the performance when they tested them side by side, they were virtually the same. So that the people that were imagining themselves doing the thing had just as much improvement as the men who were actually doing the physical. So there's an interesting connection between the simulation that we create in our mind and our physical ability.
I see. What you're trying to say is, even though you just think about it, but you're still thinking about it, like trying to find out the ways. Yeah, even you're not doing it like you said physically, even if you're thinking about it, you're still thinking about it. And then the more you think about it, you're gonna be ending up finding more ways. Like from what angle to shoot it, let's say, from how far to shoot it, like how you're supposed to shoot it. Even if you're imagining it, you're still doing it.
Yeah, but what about this though, right? The person, okay, look, if I'm going to imagine myself making a 3-point shot in my mind, is it ever going to miss? Or can I just always make it? Always make it. Made it. Like you're never going to throw a brick. But in real life, the guys who are practicing are going to throw bricks because their physical exertion is not going to always match their mental, right? Because in their mind, they're like, okay, I've got to do this arc and this much momentum behind it. What my point is that when you imagine in your mind the accomplishment of the task, I'm saying I think you can create a scenario where you always accomplish that task 100% of the time. You're never going to imagine yourself throwing a brick or completely missing the rim altogether, right?
Well, that's one thing. Imagining might be helpful. Give you a heads up about what's gonna happen or what you're gonna do. But practice counts as an experience. Like if you don't practice it, you might as well never gonna know how it feels or how it is in reality of doing it. So
Yeah, I
even
get
though
it.
you imagine yourself to go athlete, that doesn't mean you are.
Well, okay, yeah, I see where you're going with that, and I understand the analogy. But let's go back a little bit to what you were talking about. You know, you were. Did you say that you had dreams about being in Times Square?
Yeah.
Okay, right. So then there's an aspect in which there's two ways of I don't know. Let's try to see this. Have you ever heard someone? You understand what I mean?
You're gonna need a goal to achieve. Once you have a goal, you start dreaming about it, and once you achieve that goal, then you can go that you live in a dream. It's all step by step. So you're gonna have to think about it, plan it ahead, then achieve it by working on it, right?
Right.
Trying every day, day after day. You may not be right on the next day. You know, success doesn't happen overnight. The more you keep planning and working on it, the chances are that you're gonna be ending up achieving that goal one day.
Right.
I think you can go that you live in a dream. But the thing is, if you want to live a happy life, you just need to be able to see the good things in life. Like, you know, if you want to be focused on what you don't have, you're always gonna be complaining or nagging about why you don't have, why others have, but you don't have, why you're not doing enough. It just goes on piling up, and it's all just negative thoughts. But if you just start your day by counting what you have, for instance, you woke up. That's the first and foremost important gift that was given to you. That's waking up that day. Once you realize that you're alive and you are, you're gonna be next thing I would recommend to think is your health. Okay, your hands are moving, you can walk, you can think. What else there to not be grateful about? Okay, you're hungry, but that doesn't mean it's somebody's fault. It's for sure your fault that you're not making a breakfast or something. Just keep doing little things in life so that you can achieve bigger and better things.
Yeah, and I think that part of what you're describing is gratitude.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So then, if I have a mindset to where I find little things that I'm grateful for that are in my life, then that is almost like antiseptic to jealousy or comparison. I'm not going to compare myself to you because I'm thankful for all that I am and all that I have, right? And then if I'm not comparing myself to you, then I'm not going to maybe be angry that you're driving a nicer car than I am, or because even that attitude could affect the way I relate to you personally. You know, even though I might like you as a person, but if I'm really jealous of you deep down inside, then that's going to affect my physiology and the way that I treat you interpersonally in a way that I'm not necessarily conscious. I think you're bringing out some really
look at others, right? You're saying you're driving a car. How many people are taking a bus, right? You're saying you're driving for work. How many people are taking something to get to work? So look at your legs. Look at your hands. You know, there's always something. There's always. I don't want to say look down on the person to compare yourself, but I'm trying to say for sure not compare yourself to someone else. You know, let's say if you're in the middle class, why you want to compare yourself to someone in upper class? Like, oh, this guy is making billions a day. Okay, okay, God bless him. He found out his way, but that doesn't mean you need to chase after his success.
Right.
Just create your own success.
Right.
You
Right.
need to find something in life that you're really good at.
Yeah.
That's when you achieve living a dream. We
Yeah.
go back to living a dream. Whenever you find something that you're not gonna be tired or bored of doing it repeatedly, that's gonna be your lifelong thing to do.
So then, along those lines, like let's say you go to work and you start talking to someone and they say, "Oh, I saw this guy and that person who bought that car worked for 20, 25 years to get that car. So like you can do that too. So then all you have to figure out is what you can do well, and then like the other guy, save up your money. So there's a solution to your, well, there's two solutions. One is the person who is confident in who they are, where they're at in life, is going to be satisfied and happy with whatever they have because they've created it. They've made this, right? They're happy. So that solves that problem. But then the person who is comparing himself to others, his solution is, if he's going to be that way in his mind, is you've got to now solve your problem. Because if you're here 6 months later still whining and complaining, and a year later whining and complaining that you don't have this or don't have, like, what are you doing to make it happen?
Exactly. Yep. You know, I read it. I like to read books about big time, and I read a book about 10x by the author Greg Carver. He's a real estate background, and one tool that really liked and still follows this is quit being a crybaby, meaning start taking responsibility in your life by yourself. Like whatever is happening because of you. Like let's say someone, no, that's not gonna be a good example. Let's say you don't have something, right? Like you said, the car. You might say, "Oh, I'm not making enough. Oh, my work is not being enough. Whatever. I don't have enough. That's why I don't have a car." Exactly. If you're not making enough, why not just find another job? Why not make a side hustle? Why not just work out things in your life so that you start making more than enough? And if you start thinking whatever problem you're facing because of your mistake, you're gonna start looking at it differently, and then you're gonna start taking responsibility in order to solve them or even prevent them. Like what to do? Okay, let's say you become broke one day and you don't have penny in your pocket, and who smoke is that? Nobody can guarantee you that you're gonna have a steady job for 10 years, 5 years. So nobody can guarantee that you're not gonna be a broke one day. So if you always think of these kind of obstacles, problems you're gonna be facing in life, and you're kind of prepared for them, you have something for rainy days, let's say, and that's gonna be handy or useful when it actually is a rainy day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just start taking responsibility of your life yourself. There is no need or there is no use of complaining others because it's not gonna do anything. It's not gonna solve your problems. They're just living their own life and they have their own problems. We all, what is it? We all can live only our life. There's no way you're gonna be living somebody's life for them. Yeah, you can help them with decision making. You can advise them, recommend them something, but that's only up to them if they're gonna take it. You know?
Yeah. I think too, one of the practical ways is to minimalize your expenses.
Yeah, that's it.
Right? So you might not have to get a second job, just cut out expenses that you are throwing money away in.
Yeah, what be smart about it. Think twice before spending. There was a saying of one preacher man, I don't remember his name. He used to say, I I would rather make more money than saving on myself. Why not just give it a try, especially in the 21st century? You know, people are just not leaving the house by staring at the camera, making thousands a day by just video blogging, twitching, stuff.
Right.
There's always an opportunity. You just gotta be open to it and flexible about
Well,
it. Like, you should not be like, oh, I can do this, I can only do that. Why limit yourself to only one field and then complain about it? Just go learn a skill. Today is the easiest thing is to learn a new skill. It's only up to you.
Yeah.
If you're more open and then go get it, and you go get it.
Well, to a certain extent, this is what I'm trying to do with the podcast,
Right?
is create content. Like, I think we're having a very profitable conversation right now. You know, that someone might come across this channel and not have thought about the things that we're. So I'm trying to create content like this that is eventually going to be profitable for me, not just spiritually. I'm not just doing this for the money, but I am trying to do it to generate income, right? Ultimately. So I got to the point a month ago where I said to myself, stop talking about it and do it, right? Because I was having these amazing conversations with my writers, and I was thinking, oh, I should be recording this. And then I was thinking, oh, this would be a great podcast, but I don't. So I started out by using a crappy phone, bad audio, you know what I mean? It was all like low bar, but I was doing it. I was like, just start doing it. And so right now, instead of using my Motorola, I'm using the iPhone because that has better video quality, you know? So incrementally, I'm trying to create that reality.
Yeah. First things first, you have to give it a try. You know, once you give it a try, your confidence is gonna be higher than what you were thinking. Oh, what if it doesn't work? No, you don't know if it does work until you try it.
Right.
And the more you try it, the better you're gonna get at it.
Right, exactly. And then you brought up that other aspect of living in the future, which is anxiety. What if it doesn't work? So why create a problem that hasn't surfaced? Right? Why be worried about something that hasn't happened? And then, looking back, so when we look into the future that hasn't happened, it creates anxiety. When we look into the past about something that did happen and we have regret, that's a different level of anxiety, but it's the same thing. It's just we're looking in the past and we're worried about the future, but that then takes away from where we are right now in this moment.
Exactly. Yep. I hear you. See, looking at the past and being excited about it is not gonna do anything. I think of it as a weight that we carry on. You just gotta get rid of the weight and then forget about the past. What's past is past. You know, there's nothing you can do. But what you can do is learn from your mistakes that you did in past.
Here we are. Now we're full circle, because you're describing learning a lesson in the real world, and earlier you discussed dreams as being a platform for you to learn a lesson, right? So let's say, for instance, what's the difference in your mind then? I'm making this up as I'm thinking because of what you just said. So let's say something happens today for you that has a negative aspect to it, and maybe you don't make a decision that you should have made or whatever, and then later on tonight you look back at that and go, oh, I should have done something different, right? So you can either replay that over and over and over in your mind differently than it would have worked out, or you can possibly create that in a dream where you play that scenario over and over again, but in your dream. You get what I'm saying? Because earlier on, you talked about how the dream can be used to solve a problem, right? But there's also an aspect in which in real life we can still do that, but we're awake. We can still think about that thing. I'm just trying to think through the difference there because it's interesting. It's like, I wonder if, I'm trying to think, man, oh man.
Well, let me
Yeah,
let
go ahead.
me tell you something. For it to become your dream, you really need to put effort in it. Like you really need to think, and then you couldn't solve it in real life. Like there was no way you could have solved it, right?
Maybe it was too fast. The decision was too fast for you to figure out right then.
No, I think it's too difficult to solve it right then. And then that's the reason why your mind didn't give up on it, and then it kept it in its what is it?
Memory bank.
Memory bank.
Yeah.
And that's how you're gonna end up living it. So, but let's say the problem is easy and you solve it right away, or eventually, like throughout the day, then the chances are you're not gonna sleep it. You're gonna just sleep like a baby, because you're in your brain, you're satisfied that you don't have no problems that you didn't solve, or you're not anxious about. Then it's just gonna shut it off and then reboot itself, like making it ready for the next day. Your brain, your mind, it just clears itself out, having more space and more memory for the coming or following day. But let's say you didn't or couldn't somehow solve it. It was really difficult and complicated, and then you tried all the ways, like going with one way, the second, the third, even fourth way, but you didn't see the end, right? And the chances are, yes, you might. There is no guarantee you're gonna, but you might bring about it, and then you'll be surprised that there was a fifth way in between the second and third way, and you'll be like, oh, if I use the second way to the half and the third way from the half to the end, I could have solved it. Why I couldn't think about it, But that's just how it is.
Right. So then there's still an amount of energy that you're putting into the problem solving. So, but when you're looking into the past with regret, that energy is negative.
Yeah.
But if you're looking into the future about how to solve that problem, then that energy that you're spending, that same amount of time per se, like, instead of looking at it with regret, look at it as a opportunity to solve a problem, right? Or the next time that comes up, I've already thought through this because of my previous experience, and so the next time this happens, I'll be better equipped to be in that moment at that time and hopefully make a better decision. But I still hear your description of our dreaming life takes a lot of work because you have to be intentional. Like I think you said before, write down something, like before you go to bed, 10 minutes before you go to bed. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. Like you write this down. So, and that takes time.
Yeah.
And most people say, oh, I don't have time to do that. Well, you do. I do. I'm lazy. I'm super lazy. But I'm finding more and more motivation with these conversations that I'm having to become less and less lazy, because I have to start taking these steps of, the information that you're sharing with me, I think, is a positive source of information for me to try to implement. And so I am very grateful for this conversation.
And also, I think I forgot to mention the reason why maybe I won't dream about whatever happened in the past. I just think about it at the moment, what I did wrong, and I just gave up. Like, okay, this thing happened, and then there's no way I can fix it. If I can't find a way to fix it, like by calling the person I might have disappointed, just call him before even going to sleep. Okay, I'm sorry, it was my fault. Please forgive me, or let's work it out. And I try to told the things that happened by my mistake in the past or earlier that day, before the end of that day. Just because I don't want to carry the weight or burden of it for the whole organization. Whatever happened today, I'll just close it for today and it's done.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is what is the mystery, and you don't know what's gonna bring out. That's why I don't dream about whatever I did in the past. I'll just give my lessons if I can. Let's say I learned something that I did mistake. Okay, if I do this way, I'm not gonna achieve it what I want to achieve. If I don't do it this way, or if I try a different way, maybe it will be different, and I'll just do it different.
So what do you think about this then? As we wrap, well, we got 10 minutes left. What do you think about this? That if I don't set my intentions before I go to sleep, and I still dream, right? So my mind is still active in that metaphysical simulation. So then, if I don't set my intentions, if I don't plan on orchestrating a scenario in my dreaming life, why does my mind do it anyway?
That is an interesting question. I heard somewhere that women goes around on its own in the journey, like being in places, doing some stuff. The place is gonna be the actual places, but the things that are happening will be all fictional or in your mind. You have a dream of falling through the roof, from the roof, or you have a dream of climbing the ladder but never achieving the top. Strange dreams that you try to find meaning in, but there is no meaning in it. The reason is, I'm guessing, is because your soul is just wandering around, and have you ever thought why you dream about the things that you have seen in real life? Why you don't dream of Mars, or why you don't dream of moon, or why you don't dream of something like really different that you haven't ever seen?
Right. Yeah.
The thing is.
So the thing I want to encourage you to think about is that, let's say you do a multiplayer game.
Right.
You're in your living room on your system. You're looking at a simulation that you're in your avatar. And just like right now, I can't see my face, I can't see the back of my head, but I can see my hands. Right? This is me.
Mm-hmm.
That's you. You, for me, is a third person, but you're a first person. I'm your third person. Right. You get me?
Yeah.
But we're both in the simulation.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say I create a game called Uber Rides, and you're the passenger and I'm the driver. But I'm in Baltimore and you're in California. But we're both in the simulation at the same time. Where is that simulation? We went somewhere. We're right there, right? Now, imagine that that's what happens when we dream. Right now, people all over the world are asleep. And when they sleep, they log in to the simulation. And they go around and they see that person and that person. But that person right there is actually in Chicago sleeping right now.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Where is the question?
Just to think about dreams as a simulation that we log into when we dream. That when we're tired, we're laying in bed, we're not asleep yet, and we get right on the edge of that. And right when we start to dream is when we cross over into the simulation. And if, to use, like our soul or whatever, we want to say, is that thing that goes, because our bodies physically are still in the bedroom, but our mind or our soul is that thing that is the thing that's traveling.
Well, I'm not 100% sure, but I think for you to dream of someone in your dream, I think you need to know that person really well, or at least have seen it once or twice. Because in your mind, you need to feel that person's face, maybe the shape, the character, how you remember that person by, and the chances are you're gonna be visualizing that person the way you remember. Uh,
Yeah, I mean I think to a certain extent that might be true. Now, there is an interesting movie that if it seems to me that you would enjoy the movie because of the conversation that we're having. But I've used the phrase a couple of times in our conversation, and the movie is called Waking Life. Waking Life. Okay, so it's 22 years old, but right now it's my favorite movie. My favorite. I'm watching it over and over and over again because it's so deeply philosophical, but they don't talk about the stuff that we've talked about, but what they do talk about relates to what we're talking about. It's all related. But one of the lines, let me try to see. Maybe I won't say that. Shoot. Where was I going with that? In the dream, he has a couple of recurring characters. So when he first starts to dream at the beginning of the movie, he sees two characters in that scene. And then the rest of the movie goes on, but then at a later dream, he has those two characters again, but they're completely different characters, but they're the same avatar. Your question in terms of, before you can create a character in your dream, you have to have already seen that person or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Their answer to that is that if dreams are simulations and you have all of these different NPCs or other characters in your dreams, that those are other people, then it doesn't really depend upon your previous experience. You didn't have to know them already because that person's logging in from Indonesia, and that's just going to be who he is.
Can I get out in this corner if you don't mind?
Yeah, sure.
After you make the time.
Yeah, sure.
Check my mail too.
Okay.
I was hoping you'd be passing by here. Wow, man. Well, I'm glad you were my driver.
Well, my King Shezrod, or is it Shirzad? Shirzad. It's a pleasure talking with you.
Likewise.
I hope you have a blue sky day.
You as well, brother.
Thanks.
Have a wonderful day and good luck with your podcast.
Oh, hey, you know what?
Oh,
take that with you. That's got my information on it. Podcast is there as a link.
That's what's up. Thank you.
All right. All righty then. Got to find a place to sit and wait, I guess. I could do it right here in front of this guy. All right. I need to use the restroom, so I'm going to go find a...
how do I put this on pause? I'm just going to do that. All right, and I shall be back. All right, I'm back. Aren't you so excited? Anyway, I got two nice tips from my last two rides, so that's a positive affirmation in terms of the service that I'm providing. We got 2 Smurfs watching. Have you hit that Fonzarelli yet? Have you said hello in the chat yet? Have you shared the show? Reading up on FOHAT. I don't know what FOHAT is. Robert, what's FOHAT? Again, it's really, really slow right now. Huh. That's interesting. We got two Smurfs out there watching. Anybody say hello yet? All right, I'm going to pick back up with doing the reading from Robert Johnson's inner work. Robert Johnson's inner work, Using Dreams and Active Imagination for Personal Growth. Another way we experience the unconscious is through a sudden surge of emotion, the inexplicable joy or the irritational anger that suddenly invades the conscious mind and takes over. The floods of feeling make no sense to the conscious mind because the conscious mind did not produce them. The man, in our example, could not explain to himself the intensity of his reaction. He asked, where did that come from? He felt his anger came from somewhere outside him. He felt that he was not himself for a few moments. But in fact, this surge of ungovernable emotion did come from a part of him, a place deep within that he couldn't see within his conscious mind. It is because of this invisibility that this place is called the unconscious. The idea of the unconscious derives from a simple observation in daily life. There is material contained in our mind that we are not aware of most of the time. What's interesting right now is it's not physical material. It's not physical material in our mind. So the word material is even misleading, in my opinion, in this part of the discussion. We sometimes become aware of a memory, a pleasant association, an ideal, a belief that wells up unexpectedly from an unknown place. We sense that we have carried these elements somewhere inside us for a long time. But where? In an unknown part of the total psyche that lies outside of the boundaries. This is an incomplete sentence. In an unknown part of the total psyche that lies outside the boundaries of the conscious mind. Yeah, this is an incomplete sentence. Huh. That's interesting. What's being described here, I think, is almost like the same thing as a method actor. A method actor who needs to cry at a certain scene or needs to be angry at a certain scene triggers a memory that produces anger, triggers a memory that produces sadness, so that I can actually cry and have tears in my eyes. So this is a very similar discipline to method acting. This is method dreaming, method remembering, method creating, method planning, method, like you are intentionally providing information to, for lack of a better word, your psyche. The unconscious is a marvelous universe of unseen energies, forces, forms of intelligence, even distinct personalities that live within us. It is a much larger realm than most of us realize, one that has a complete life of its own running parallel to the ordinary life we live day to day. The unconscious is the secret source of much of our thought, feeling, and behavior. It influences us in ways that are all the more powerful because unsuspected. What's interesting is this is written back in 1986, and he's describing multiverses. the unconscious is a universe of unseen energies, forces, intelligences, personalities, complete lives running parallel to the ordinary life. See that? And again, it's just really, really slow right now. So the thing that I have to intend to do today is I want to start earlier tomorrow than I did today, which means I have to get up earlier, which means I have to hopefully go to sleep earlier. So that is going to be one thing that I'm going to have to try to change to see if there's more business from 5 to 7, because I started roughly around 6:30, 7 o'clock today. And so for 2 hours, I had a pretty good turnover rate, but right now it's Deadsville. And if it's busier in the morning from 5 to 7, then I'll hopefully get at least 4 to 6 rides in that time period. Just checking the chat. Thank you, Instacart. Appreciate that. Welcome to the show. Most of us have an intuitive feeling about what is meant when we hear the term the unconscious. We correlate this idea with a myriad of experiences, small and large, that are interwoven with the fabric of our daily lives. We all have had the experience of doing something unconsciously when our minds were someplace else. Then being surprised, we all have had the experience of doing something unconsciously, then being surprised at what we had done. We remember getting worked up during a conversation and blurting out some strong opinion we didn't know consciously that we held. Sometimes we are startled. Where did that come from? I didn't know I felt so strongly about that. As we become more sensitive to the surges of energy from the unconscious, we learn instead to ask, what part of me believes that? Why does this subject set off such an intense reaction in that unseen part of myself? We can learn to look at the issue more closely. What comes over me is a sudden invasion of energy from the unconscious. If I think I wasn't being myself, it is because I don't realize that myself also includes my subconscious or my unconscious. These hidden parts of ourselves have strong feelings, and these hidden parts want to express them. Yet, unless we learn to do inner work, these parts of ourselves are hidden from our conscious view. Sometimes these hidden personalities are embarrassing or violent, and we are humiliated when they show themselves. At other times, we wake up to strengths and fine qualities within ourselves that we never knew were there. We draw on hidden resources and do things we normally could not have done. Say something more clear and intelligent than we've ever been able to say before. Express wisdom we didn't know we had. Show a generosity or understanding of which we never knew we were capable. In each case, there is a startled reaction. I'm a different person than I thought I was. I have qualities, both positive and negative, that I didn't know were a part of my definition. These qualities lived in the unconscious, where they were out of sight and therefore out of mind. We are all much more than the I of whom we are aware. Our conscious minds can focus on only a limited sector of our total being at any given time. Despite our efforts at self-knowledge, only a small portion of the huge energy system of the unconscious, despite our efforts at self-knowledge,
only a small portion of the huge energy system of the unconscious can be incorporated into the conscious mind or function at the conscious level. Therefore, we have to learn how to go to the unconscious and be receptive to its message. It is the only way to find the unknown parts of ourselves. And this is touching on what Shirzad and I were talking about before, that entire 45-minute interesting conversation. If you didn't hear it, the ride before, just go back an hour. And my rider and I had a really productive conversation that would take a listening to again to remember everything that was said. Most of us are reactors. I'm a reactor. I just simply experience something and then react to it. A lot of people who are developmentally advanced don't react, they create. To a certain extent. I don't think you can completely eliminate reactions, but for the most part, they're intentionally aware. It would almost be like waking up in the morning and taking about 10 to 15 minutes just to be still and give yourself a self-awareness test. What is going on in my mind right now? What am I thinking of? What is something I have to accomplish today that I set in motion yesterday? Right? Like, what is it that I have to be about today? Okay, this, okay, this, okay, this. Those are the three things, or however many there are. Those are the things that I am going to intentionally put my energy into, rather than just being an automaton who just, experiences interpersonal and what's the other? Not interpersonal, like interpersonal relationships are those relationships that you have direct contact with. But I'm thinking of those extra personal, that those are relationships or experiences that other people bring into your life, right? So that driver next to you who doesn't signal but then just comes over into your lane, that's extra personal. That person invaded your space to a certain extent. Just thinking out loud. Anybody picking up what I'm setting down? Approaching the unconscious, voluntarily or involuntarily. The unconscious manifests itself through a language of symbols. It is not only in our involuntary or compulsive behavior that we can see the unconscious. It has two natural pathways for bridging the gap and speaking to the conscious mind. One is by dreams. The other is through the imagination. Both of those things, I made just over $1,000. I think maybe $1,100 last week. I had a really good day on Friday. I worked my ass off and made $330 on Friday. So that put me over the top a little bit. But last week was a decent week. It was just really slow. So I had to modify my typical driving patterns. But going back to, it's not great, but it's not bad. I'm surviving, right? I can survive and get by. So it is what it is. But our dreams and imagination are the same thing. Dreams are technically involuntary. Imagination is voluntary. So if I daydream, but even daydreaming can happen almost on an automatic
physiological, like I'm listening to a lecture in class or whatever, and then I just start to daydream. That was like not intentional. I didn't, or I could intentionally start thinking about something else, like, oh, I have to do this, and then in my mind I start doing that thing, seeing that activity in my mind. But I would say that dreams and imagination are the same thing. They just happen at different times and are created by slightly nuanced and different means. But this is what Shirzad and I were talking about before. What was it? It was just that being intentional in our decisions and our behavior. All right, I'm going to give this 3 more minutes, and then I'm going to pack it up for this morning, get some stuff done, and maybe go back out later this afternoon. I mean, that's the only thing I can do, besides sit around here and yammer the whole time. Interestingly enough, that if I start to move and act as though I'm going to stop driving for Uber, I predict that I'm going to start getting rides. Either by dreams or imagination, both are highly refined channels of communication that the psyche has developed so that the unconscious and conscious levels speak to one another and work together. That's exactly what I've been talking about this whole week, where we bring our dreaming life and our waking life together. But what's interesting is that the author at this point hasn't defined what he means by psyche. Nice. Yeah, you know, I don't know if I looked up Instacart or not, but Grubhub, I couldn't get into Grubhub. The market out here was too saturated. They didn't have any openings for me. Yeah, I mean, I just don't know that I would like going around grocery shopping. Maybe I would. I mean, I enjoy grocery shopping for myself. I don't think I ever looked into Instacart, though. Right. Like I said, I enjoy it when I do it, but when I've been in a grocery store shopping for myself and I see someone else who's doing Instacart, my immediate thought is I wouldn't like doing that, which is interesting, right? That's like my immediate thought. I wasn't like, oh, could I? I was like, I wouldn't want to do that. I would not want to do that. So there you go. All right, so it's 10:30. I'm going to leave my apps open because I could possibly find something, but I am moseying on out of here. Because it'll be late morning, 11-ish, 11:30-ish by the time I get back. And then I have things that I can do to cross T's and dot I's for my ambitions. Turn this around for you so you don't have to watch me. So I can't see what you just commented, so I won't be able to respond to that. Happened again. Oh, is it going to give it to me? Okay. The rider just canceled. At least that's what it sounded like. But it's still showing it as active, so okay. This is weird. I'm at a stoplight right now, but it shows me a past it or something. Am I there or not? Man, this is annoying. This map just keeps stretching out my arrival location. What in the world, man? Is it behind me now? Hail, my queen. Well, my name is Travis. I am your driver, but I'm also a podcaster. And so right now I am streaming to my podcast. It's called the UberCaste. Everything I say or do is intended to provoke stimulating, uplifting conversation so that everything that we say or do is being recorded for entertainment purposes. Shall we continue? Absolutely. We have 3 minutes to change the world. What can we talk about in 3 minutes? What do you think?
Not much.
Not much. Well, we can start with ideas, though, you know, and then that idea in your mind could sit there for a little while, and you could think about it in another day or two, and then all of a sudden you think of something new.
Sure. So what are the best ideas you've heard of here?
So the thing that I'm working through right now is what the purpose of our dreams are. What do you think the purpose of our dreams are?
Depends. Some of them might be to get out ideas that you have that you can't think of in real life. Right? Like maybe you're thinking of a way to do something. It's hard to think of it when you're very clearly stuck in a certain routine.
So there's a difference between our waking life, where we think about things, imagine things, and then our dreaming life, which is our imagination, but we're asleep. So it's the same imagination, but it's just the context in which those thoughts come to us, right? Because we can daydream involuntarily, right? You're in a board meeting or whatever, and all of a sudden you're on the beach in Barbados in your head. And you didn't necessarily intentionally think of that.
But I think typically daydreaming is more realistic.
What do you mean?
You can imagine you're in a different place, but often you're a little bit more unhinged in your dreams. Like maybe people can really fly in their dreams. People don't often daydream at flying.
Right, okay. I get you. Yeah, that is an interesting leveling up, so to speak. In the dream world, you can level up to that. I wonder, though, if a seasoned or a master of imagination could create in a daydream that reality where he is flying.
Sure.
It's almost like weightlifting or weight loss. Like you have to deliberately do the thing and get better at it. It's like practicing. So, what do you think the purpose of our dreams are? Like, why do we have them at all? Because it seems like we dream even when we don't intend to dream. Like the writer I had just before was talking about, well, let's say you go to bed, before you go to bed, like 10 minutes before you go to bed, you write out your intentions in your dream state. Like, I'm going to dream about this interaction that I had at the board meeting because I wasn't really happy with what I said or how I performed. So I'm going to go into a dream and do it again. Like, that's intentional. But if I don't intend on doing something like that, I still dream. But why?
Maybe to kind of get your burdens off on the day. A lot of times when you're stressed in life, little dreams usually will be stressful, but maybe it's actually a release.
And then that release is more often, I would think, like unconscious. Like, let's say in our dream, I do dream about something that helps me release anxiety about a certain interaction that I had at work or whatever it might have been. And it's almost like eating a fruit that has a nutrient in it that you didn't know you needed. And then when you eat that fruit, your body assimilates it, but you don't know that that's what it's doing. Like, that's what a dream would do for you. Like, you had that dream, you went to that one place, you solved that problem in your dream, and then when you woke up, you had relief from the anxiety, but you aren't aware that you've been relieved. Does that make sense?
Maybe, but I think sometimes people are relieved and they are aware that they are.
Okay.
Depends on the person, I guess.
Yeah, I think that person is more of a master. It's more of a, a professional, so to speak. Someone who's, who's intentionally doing those things.
Yeah. Right here is perfect.
Okay, great.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Well, my queen, Rachita, I hope you have a blue sky day.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks. Nice slide to drop off. There we go. All right, so I'm going to go be picking up Queen Charissa or Charissa. Good morning, my queen, Charissa.
Yes.
I'm your driver, Travis, but I'm not just a driver. I'm also a podcaster. And so we are podcasting live to my live stream. It's called the UberCaste.
Okay.
And so everything I say or do is intended to provide stimulating, uplifting conversation. And everything that we say or do is being recorded for entertainment purposes. Shall we continue? Absolutely. So we have 28 minutes together, Sharissa, to solve the problems of the world. Which one can we tackle first? What do you think? Homelessness? Okay. So in your mind, what kind of a solution can we offer up for homelessness?
Honestly, I don't know, because I always hear, like, because I'm not from Baltimore, I'm from New York.
Okay.
So, like, it's not a lot of abandoned houses and stuff like that in New York. Really, like, what I'm saying here, I always hear people say, like, oh, they have, like, abandoned house right here. They got all these abandoned houses. They could be homeless people at them. But I don't know, because then when they put the homeless people in them, like, they still want to pay bills and stuff, so it's like, really
right.
a solution.
Yeah, it's not just one thing to do, right? It's a multifaceted problem. Because then it's not just homelessness; it's also then a job. You have to maybe help them find a job. Well, do you think that there are programs that do that? I would think that somebody else has thought of that before.
You said somebody else what?
Has thought of that before. You know, described it, the problem. They described the problem the way that you're describing it. But then, so I guess what I'm saying is I'm sure that there are nonprofits out there that have thought about, okay, if we're going to solve the problem of homelessness, what is that? Okay, we need to find them a home. Okay, but then you're on the board and you go like, well, wait a minute. They have a home now, but they still have to now pay for their utilities and what else. Like, so now we have to solve employment.
There's programs and stuff like that, like not for homeless people, like the people that already have houses, like need help with their utilities and stuff. There are programs like that.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know how they would ever do homelessness. But I don't think nobody's really worried about it. About homeless people.
Okay, what makes you say that?
Because like problems, like serious problems is fixed right away.
There you go. Right. So here's my theory. It's almost like a bit of a conspiracy theory. I think that the government really doesn't want to solve the problem of homelessness because they're making a profit from it in some way. So then why would they solve a problem that's making them a profit?
How do you say they're making them a profit?
Well, if you have certain organizations that are going to, I guess, consider themselves a business to help solve homelessness.
Like a nonprofit?
Like a nonprofit. Even the nonprofit has to pay the government. So that's something right there. So you want that nonprofit to exist because you're going to get money from that nonprofit. So I do tend to agree with you. I would say that normal people like you and me are concerned about the welfare of other people, homelessness, but the government looks at the revenue that they're going to get as more important than the people that they have to be concerned with. So on your way to work?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Actually, it's my first day. I work with a company basically that, you know how like people walk door to door and stuff trying to sell cable or something like that.
Okay. Okay.
It's Verizon.
And have you ever done this work before, even as new with Verizon?
Not with Verizon. No, I've worked in sales.
Sales.
Yeah. And never nothing like this, like face to face, like residential, like going to people's house. I never done nothing like this.
So do you have any trepidation or fear, like this being a new expression of what you're
No, for me, the only thing I would say I'm worried about is being hot outside. But no, today I'm in the office actually because it's my first day, so I'm not going to.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I'm just worried about passing out in the house.
Well, I think it has cooled off a bit in the past couple of days, but yeah, that's definitely something that would be a concern of mine for sure. What do you like about sales overall? What do you enjoy about it?
Okay, so I just got back into sales. This is like when I say sales, like I used to be a sales associate, like working in retail and stuff.
Okay.
But that's not really like you don't get commission off anything you sell,
right?
Macy's or something like that.
Right.
So this job, I like, it's like it's no cap to how much I can make because I'm the one selling it. I get commission off of it.
Right.
Like that. That's what I like about the job.
Do you see that as a challenge?
Yeah. So let me tell how much money I can make it one day.
Right. Yeah. That'll be interesting to see how that works for you. Because it's a little bit similar in terms of what I do. How much I work today depends. Like I'm not gonna I'm only making money if there's a writer, right? So then, like before I picked you up, I was planning on wrapping up my day because it's been so slow that it's not really worth it for me to sit out here for an hour and only give one ride because that's not going to work out in terms of how much I make per hour, right? But I could go out later on tonight. So normally I work from 6 o'clock in the morning until like say 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But because I'm going to have to shift this around today, I'm going to have to have my break in the middle of the day and then work another 3 hours later on tonight. But if I don't work at all, so I guess what I'm saying is both you and I have a situation where it depends on how hard we're willing to work.
You work a 9 to 5 as well?
No, I just do this.
It's my first time having a 9 to 5 in a while. I haven't worked on the bookstore in almost 2 years. I bartended in that 5 food and stuff like that. So I've been doing that for a bit.
So what made you decide to make that transition from bartending? What was the other thing you said?
I do bottle service, like we out and the bottle girls bring out the bottles and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Only reason I work, well, it's not the only reason. I do want a form of income, like stable income. So that's the reason I went back to work. And recently my car was totaled, so I got a work ticket to the car.
You say totaled?
Yeah.
Were you at fault?
No, I wasn't even in the country. I was in Mexico. My car had got hit. They said it was a hit and run with a drunk person. I don't know. They still investigating it.
Okay.
This was happened 2 weeks ago.
So your car was parked and somebody just ran into it?
Parked in front of my house, and I have a camera. So
Wow.
You just see the car come up on the street. I don't know if you see who was picking me up. Like the tree was broken.
Yeah. Okay.
It was cracked up. So the man and the woman, they just ran up on the curb.
And do they know who they are?
No, I don't know them.
No. Yeah.
They had to come pick up the man in the ambulance.
Oh, okay.
And they went to the hospital.
All right. Yeah, well, hopefully your insurance will cover what you.
I wasn't insured, so that's why.
Well, but you have to see their insurance, though. I mean.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna take it. I'm gonna take it for granted that at least one of you was insured. So you didn't have insurance?
No. Yeah, my phone was insured.
So how did you get registered then?
At the time, I had insurance.
Okay, you just let it go. Yeah. Okay. So how do you feel comfortable about driving without insurance? Most people aren't comfortable doing that.
I wouldn't say I feel comfortable with it. Like something like you gotta do. Like I was going through a hardship with money at one point, and that's why I had to cut it off.
Okay.
I always had planned to get it, but now like situations like this, I really wish I did get it.
Yeah. You say you're from New York City?
Yeah.
Which borough?
Brooklyn.
Nice. I have a Brooklyn story. So I used to be a truck driver, and one of my pickups was in Brooklyn at the public library. And I had the pickup in the morning, and so I wanted to be able to sleep throughout the night, so I got there as early as I could, the day before. Well, I got there in the middle of the night, and it was a one-way street. And remember, I'm in a full 18-wheeler, right, in Brooklyn, on a one-way street, and I have to park on the curb. So I know, and especially on a one-way street. But I parallel parked perfectly the first time. First time I tried it that night, I had done it before, but I'm saying that night when I was trying to park in Brooklyn on that one-way street next to the library, I did it in one. I didn't have to make any corrections. I went, boom, parked. So, right, your laughter, right? I got out of the car, or out of my truck, and I looked around and I said, did anybody see that? Because that was amazing, and that should be like on, Guinness Book of World Records. But no one saw it. It's just me. But I was proud of myself. Got some sleep, and then the next morning I went out for a bagel and schmear and a coffee at a local deli, and that was awesome, right? Get a little taste of Brooklyn. You miss Brooklyn?
I do and I don't. I don't know, because I'm only 23. I've been living there for 8 years. So
oh, okay.
Yeah, so I moved down here as a kid, and I didn't understand how expensive New York was. So I'm already here in Maryland. It's going through the time, so I knew I would.
I got you.
If I was in New York, I don't know. It's a whole different ballgame.
So, if you had to guess, how much are you, if insurance is going to cover for it, and your car is totaled, right? So then, what's the value that you think you'll get?
I don't know. Like, I really don't know about any of this. I read on Google that basically insurance because I have a car note, so my car is a vehicle. So I read that the insurance might just pay off the remaining balance of my car, like pay that to my car finds the bank, and that'd be it. Sometimes I hear like they sell like
okay, I got
like
you.
that off the car.
Yeah.
Work to make money for the car.
So your car was financed.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I hope that works out for you for the best. And were you looking at any other sales options besides the Verizon one before you took Verizon?
No, I really literally just went on. At first, I looked for a remote position, but until I had my interview, I found out it wasn't. Hold on. Hello. Yes. Hey, Andrew. Hey. I'm good here. Yeah, I don't know why the GPS had lied and said that it was for me to 30-minute drive. So I'm still in route. You know how is that the word again?
13 minutes.
Okay. 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 All right. Thank you.
I think we just really wrapped up. I think the last thing I remember saying was.
I think you asked me. Stop looking at it.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep. Good.
You say as far as the car, like getting the car.
No. Your options instead of Verizon. Were you looking at any other companies that you were?
That's what I'm saying. At first, I thought it was a remote position, so I had the phone interview. But then, like once he had broke down, like the pay, the location is a little far, just because I don't have my car right now. But once I get in the car, the 30-minute drive is not nothing. So
yeah. Well, here's another fun, at least fun for me, conversation that I've been having with my writers. Do you have any like little nieces or nephews?
Yeah, I have a niece.
Okay. So let's say she comes up to you and she says, Aunt Charissa, I was gonna go to sleep last night, and then I thought I was in my bed, but then I was at the playground at school playing with my friends, and then I woke up and I was in my bed. What happened? What was that? So then her next question is going to be, what is a dream? Right? Okay, so hold on to that. Her next question is, why do we dream? We all know that we do, but the question is, why? See, I think that we're at a place in this history that we're in where certain information is withheld from us, and we have certain lifestyles that affect our health. So I would say it this way: the healthier we are, the more we are going to remember our dreams. Because I would say that even if you woke up this morning and you sat there for a minute and you think to yourself, okay, what did I dream about last night? And you can't remember anything, that doesn't mean that you didn't dream. That just means you don't remember your dream.
You're supposed to have dreams every day?
I believe so. Because if you think of your mind as a computer, that computer is always processing. Always processing.
Because I barely have dreams. Like, if I have a nightmare, I can wake up and remember it. Like, in the back of my head. My chest be hurt and stuff.
Yeah, because I think that to a certain extent, right? And what's interesting is that, let me ask you this: why call it a nightmare as opposed to a dream?
So the dream is supposed to be like a fantasy, like something positive and good. But a nightmare is always like that.
Okay, and what does it produce within you? When you have a nightmare, like you said, you woke up and you felt hot. Like, what was that? What was that emotion? Right? So your dream, your nightmare, can produce emotions that when you're sleeping, you're not awake, you still are afraid or angry or happy, right? So then we can do that even right now in this life. So let's say, for instance, this car can cut in front of me and step on the brakes. I get afraid, right? Well, I can get afraid in my dream. Or this person cuts me off and I have to like swerve over, and then I get angry, right? So I can have those emotions in my waking life, but I can also have those same emotions because my body has the same reaction, right? In my dreaming life. So in both our dreaming and our waking life, we can experience almost the same experience. But one of them is real and one of them isn't. But my question again goes back to why? Why do we dream?
I don't know. It was some kind of thing. I don't know. I wouldn't even answer that.
So think about it this way. If you're going to spend 8 hours here with Verizon, if at the end of the day you sit down at the kitchen table, you take out a piece of paper, and you're going to write out 5 positive things about your experience today and 5 things that brought a challenge to you that you had to deal with, right? And then let's say number 3 that you wrote down is I was a little bit impatient with Bobby or whatever, right? So then you notice something about yourself that you now need to change. What you're doing right now is you're problem solving, right? Well, what if after you took all of your notes, you went to bed and then dreamed that event again? What if you could, in that dream, be aware that you were dreaming, know that you're in a simulation that's there for you to do one thing and one thing only, learn. So what I'm going to suggest is that our dreams are a simulation of events that we have in life where we can live those situations over again to learn, because you might not be in a situation like you were earlier in the day, like that person's not going to come into your office space or whatever it is. Like that event might not ever happen again, but you could create it again in your dream and do it over again and do it better. What do you think?
I don't know about that, because like every time while you thinking about something, even you said it depends on your health, especially that whether or not you remember your dreams when you wake up. So like I was always thinking about things. I don't ever think about them.
Well, again, I'm going to be the naysayer, and I'm going to say you did dream about them, you just don't remember. But at the same time, we really have these weird dreams too, right? So I remember a couple of days ago, I woke up and I had a vague memory of my dream. I was with my family and we were in a situation, whatever it was, picnic, I don't care, whatever. But that event never happened. So then why is my mind creating an event that never happened? Rather than it recreates an event that did happen, and then I get to practice again. I get to try again. So our minds are always thinking about, because I would say the other day when I woke up and I had that vague memory of that dream, I would say that wasn't the only dream I had that night, but it was the only one that is fresh in my mind. Or I could have just, I don't even know, like I woke up, I had this vague memory that I had a dream, but that doesn't mean that I was just dreaming right then.
Right.
I could have been dreaming 2 hours ago and remember that dream. You understand the time space, right? Anyway.
That kind of reminds me of the Mandela effect. You ever heard of that?
Oh, I have.
I was saying that the other day, because there was this rapper, I think he got about for me. So I had a gun in the car. But when I had to see the article, I had thought to myself after the rapper died, like got killed 2 years ago, and then when I looked at the comments, people were saying the same thing. But
who was the rapper?
His name is Ghana. He was like, he got famous off one song on TikTok.
Okay.
So he got arrested, I think, but everybody thought that he got killed. I was listening, and I don't even keep up with like celebrity news and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Ooh, that's a new. I watch a channel on YouTube. It's called Daily Dose of Reality, and he's big into Mandela. So I wonder if he's talked about them. And I don't watch him that much anymore, just because. I mean, every once in a while I'll listen, but it just doesn't interest me. I mean, it is interesting to talk about it, but I don't like watching it over and over and over and over again. But I'm curious. I'm curious that if he would have already maybe had a discussion about that, because that's stuff that's like happening right now, right? As opposed to stuff that's changed in commercials or whatever since the 80s.
Another thing I thought had happened, but it didn't happen, was Elton John. That's what I remember seeing. Elton John had passed too.
I've never. Yeah, for me, I've never ever heard that Elton John passed away. So, is that something that you've seen, or just something that you think is for you a memory of what you thought was?
I thought I had remembered seeing it on the news, but then you ever heard the Shade Room on Instagram? They post like all the celebrity business and stuff like that.
No.
They had posted something about him, but and again, like people in the comments saying the same thing. Like they thought that he had died. one girl even said that she remember seeing a Moby at like his funeral and stuff. Like, they remembered it after his funeral. It never happened. I feel like stuff like that is crazy.
Say that again?
I feel like stuff like that is crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that goes into a bit of what other people have said too, and that is that our entire life is a simulation. So that if everything that we see and everything that we've experienced so far is a computer simulation of some kind, then you can change the program, which is what, you know, the Mandela effect is. Basically, you change the program. You go back in the files, you know, in the hard drive, and just go back and change the code from there, and then it changes all along the whole timeline. That's interesting. Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. It says, the GPS says sometimes, like, turn in 300 feet, but then it doesn't have the right idea of what 300 feet is, so I thought it was going to be right there, but it was back there.
I thought this would have been in because this the answer. That's before. My man just told me to come anywhere. He just want to be a lot of around.
Okay. I'll go around this way over here. So there's 224. You want to go around where the trucks are supposed to be?
I'm about to go back actually and see where I'm supposed to be, because I don't even see any garage trucks.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't want to just go into the building because I feel like it's streets inside of here.
Right. It doesn't even say Verizon on the outside, which is strange. I'm just looking up on the map to see if it pulls up any Verizon thing close to us. I'm going to go down a little bit and just look around.
Okay.
Just to see if something else maybe.
Hello. Hi. Good morning. Yeah, I'm sitting across from the University of Maryland Orthopedics. Yeah, it's an orthopedics building inside. You said, oh, yeah, two. Yes, now I'm in front of a sign that says feeling green. The GS made me come through the entrance of 222, not 224. No, I'm not inside. I'm still inside the car because we was riding around looking for the Verizon truck. Oh, okay. I'm going back. So just come back in. No, I'm in 224 now.
Do you want to score on the back?
Yeah. You said someone said. You said you want to see someone sitting on the bench under the tree. The two ladies. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, make a left. Oh, I see you. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right, my queen Sharissa. I hope you have a blue sky day.
You too.
You have got to be kidding me. The writer just canceled. I just got to the destination for the pickup, and the writer canceled? Are you kidding me? That writer just, that is absolutely mind-boggling.
Wow. That is absolutely insane. All right, well, I'm going to be heading back to my house, so I'm not going to be picking up any more rides. And I'm just going to say adios to the two Smurfs that are out there. Please make sure you hit that Fonzarelli. Please hit that like before you check out of this stream. And yeah, so this has been another exciting adventure of the UberCaste. I'm your host, Travis Finley. I have come to bring life and to chew bubblegum, but I'm all out of bubblegum.